All right, we are back here on the Just End the Suffering podcast, talking the NFL schedule fully released on Thursday. Joining me in our annual tradition to break it all down here, Nick Fraietta, my good friend from the Sky Guys podcast, also a big football guy. Nick, calling us in the Death Star today. How are you?
Doing good. I think this is our third year doing this. Am I right about that?
Maybe four. We started, I think, we already started this first during the COVID year when we were trying to figure out how the NFL is going to do this.
Oh yeah, so I might be year four of this. So that's cool, and it's a very exciting tradition we do, and excited to do it again.
I'm excited to do it again here too. So, any big takeaways from like what you've seen so far? So, I know you said you have not seen much of the overall picture.
No, I think it was an interesting dynamic to come on to this podcast more or less blind with the schedule. I mean, I've seen the Giants schedule, being a Giants fan, and they got a lot of road games early, and their schedule's pretty tough. But I saw something quick on the internet that basically just said the NFC South has the easiest schedule this year, which makes sense because they kind of stink.
Yep.
So that's about it.
Yeah, they do kind of stink because they also play the AFC South, which is also not a good division in its own right. It's outside Jacksonville.
So then I would imagine the two Souths have the easiest roads.
Yeah, you would think here. So, where do you want to start? You want to start with the Jets or the Giants?
We'll start with the G men. Go alphabetical.
All right, so we will go to the New York Giants schedule here, and there were a lot of rumblings here. Before we pull it up here, screen, I will mention though, Nick, like in terms of our annual break about the schedule release show, I think this year 75% of the schedule is basically out before the show actually came out on NFL Network.
Yeah, we had this exact discussion last year, and I said, why don't they just do a release show of the schedule, similar to like a selection Sunday type show? People would eat that up.
Yeah. I just don't think they care. I think they'd rather have the hype building all day than actually have people tuning in for this thing.
Would you watch if it was like a 6 o'clock on CBS, like an hour long presentation where they kind of go through like week by weeks? Not you can't do it team by team because then people would figure it out by the end. Like if the Giants play the Cowboys, then obviously the Cowboys play the Giants, right? But if you do it week by week, I think it would be really, really cool, and people would actually watch that. Like we're going to do the first 4 weeks, and then we're going to do a commercial break. And I think people would eat that up. I would.
I would definitely watch that. Like the way they have it now is more like just saying, like, oh, like let's preview some of these games, opposed to like telling you what they actually are. Like that doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
All right, so let me go ahead here, pull the Giant schedule up here on the YouTube version using the graphics. These are all from Twitter, because the Giants Twitter account here. So they start off Sunday Night Football, and against the Cowboys, week number 1. Then they go on the road, Arizona, week 2. Short week, stay out west, San Francisco, week 3, Thursday Night Football. Monday Night Football, week 4 against the Seahawks. So 3 of the Giants' first 4 games in prime time, Nick.
That's a lot. That is a lot. And the other one at 4 o'clock too, so they don't get a real legit 1 o'clock game. And don't not to mention week 6 is prime time too. They're not getting their first 6 games. Only one of them is going to be in that Sunday 1 o'clock slot, which is their usual slot.
Yeah, so continue here. Week 5, the 1 o'clock game in Miami at Buffalo on Sunday Night Football. Week 6, week 7, home against the Commanders. Giant game week 8, at the Raiders week 9, at the Cowboys week 10, at the Commanders week 11, at the week 11 here. So crazy thing here is they play 7 of 10 road games on the road here after the first part of the season.
Yeah, a lot of red at the top of that schedule. Red being away, blue being home. A lot of red at the top there, and honestly, not that much more blue on the bottom. They kind of got a little. I guess I could say they kind of got a little screwed here. They have 17 games. You're going to play one year. You're going to play 9 home games. One year you're going to play 8. This year they're going to play 8, and one of those 8 is against the Jets, which is kind of neutral site. I mean, the Giants season tickets are going to get first dibs on that game still, but it's kind of neutral site. So you're
Yeah,
really only getting 6 legit home games,
no, 7.
or 7. Excuse me, 7 legit home games, and then 9 road games and a neutral site game.
Yeah, that's pretty wild here. You look at the rest of the slate here. I mean, we're going here. Patriots at home week 12, the week 13 by Packers on Monday night, week 14. Saints on the road week 15. Christmas Day at the Eagles week 16. Then they close Rams home, Eagles home to TBD on the day here. So I think overall, I mean, like that if they can get through that 7 road game and 10-week stretch and their record's like 500, I think that's a win.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's a tough schedule. You look at the schedule, like how many games on the schedule with a quick glance are gimmies, games that you know the Giants can and will win.
I'd,
2,
I'd say 3.
3, like one of the Washingtons, the Rams, and the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's what I had circled.
That's about it, right? Every other game they could win. I don't. There's no reason they can't beat the Patriots. There's no reason they can't go to New Orleans and win a game. But I'm not. It wouldn't be shocked if they lost it at the same time.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, in terms of my projections here, I have articles coming out. I have the Giant one out, my predictions of the schedule. The Jet one's out. They're coming out a couple of days here. I have 10-7 for the Giants on this schedule.
I'd be very happy with 10-7. I mean, the Giants are not still not the most talented team in the league, but are the Giants one of the best coach teams in the league? For sure. Maybe the best coach team in the league. Maybe, who knows? So, regardless of the talent they have, they're going to be in position to win every game.
Yeah, so we'll circle back on the Christmas one later here, but I did think it was interesting that they got the Russell Wilson slot basically of 4 primetime games the first 6 weeks of the season.
It's the Brian Daboll spot now,
Yeah,
and a lot of these games are tough. Like week 1, home against Dallas on Sunday Night Football. Dallas is a fantastic team. I think Dallas is very underrated, by the way. Dallas is very, very, very good football team. I think they're second or probably third best team in the NFC. But can the Giants win the game? Absolutely, absolutely. I think they can.
yeah. I also think the week 3 at San Francisco on the short week. I know even though you're staying away, it's a rough spot. That's their home opener for the 49ers. They're gonna be fired up for that game.
It's going to be a very tough spot. But again, I'll sound like a broken record when people listen to this podcast. With the Giants coaching staff, I don't think there's one game on this schedule that I look at and say they cannot win that game. There's no way. I think they are capable of winning every single game on the schedule. They'll probably lose about half of them, but they can win every single one.
Yeah, so you feel like by 10-7 is like right in the ballpark what you think they could do.
I do, but at the same time, the schedule's really, really tough. And their schedule last year, I don't want to say it was easy, but it wasn't as tough. And it's fair. Go ahead.
You can be honest, it was easy.
Yeah, and a lot of times when a team has that easy schedule, they get up to I guess they only came in third place, right?
Yeah,
So they're getting the third place teams here, but that's only 2 games,
yeah,
which is just Packers and Saints, right?
Yep.
So, but a lot of times it happens. The team gets a really easy schedule. They get a little lucky the year before, and then they go back down to earth because it's like, all right, now you're playing against the big boys. But in the Giants' case, that might not happen because a little lucky for them got them third place, not first place. That Packer and Saints could have been, well, not really much of a difference with the Vikings and the Bucks. The Bucks are probably worse than the Saints. So
yeah, or the Lions and the Panthers.
mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm just saying the Vikings and Bucks were the teams that won the division last year. Yeah. They would have been the replacement here. But my point is, I could see them winning less than 10 games, absolutely, because they could get lucky, but they could have gotten lucky last year. But at the same time, who's to say they can't happen again? With the coaching they have, I could see them winning any number of games. I could see this team winning 14 games. I could see this team winning 7 games.
Yeah, that's true here. So
jury's out. Jury's out.
Jury's out here. So you want to go to the Jets next?
Let's do the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets, obviously, they got the big marquee bump here at Aaron Rodgers. Last year, they were on primetime just once. It was a Thursday night game before Christmas where, obviously, Barry and the Jaguars, they want no part of giving you guys any airtime unless we have to here. Look at the changes here this year. I mean, they start out Monday Night Football at home against the Bills. Week 2, CBS doubleheader slot against the Cowboys. Patriots won week 3. Sunday Night Football for the first time in 12 years against the Chiefs on October 1st.
Is that right?
Yeah, first time in 12 years they've been on Sunday Night Football.
Wow.
Yeah, because the last time was during the 2011 season. 2012, they were on the Thanksgiving game. And technically, it's not Sunday night.
It's the program Sunday Night Football, but it's not on Sunday night, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got that one here. You got the primetime games. You got this one. You have the Chiefs week 4. You have the Chargers on Monday Night Football week 9. At the Raiders Sunday Night Football week 10. And if on Prime Football Black Friday game against the Dolphins, and then a last Thursday game of the year against the Browns. So 6 primetime games of the Jets.
And that Black Friday game is prime time, correct?
Yeah, it's considered prime time for scheduling purposes.
Okay, but I mean, it's obvious why. Let's not pretend why we don't know.
Yeah, it's that guy on the poster right there next to CJ.
Yeah, it's that guy number 8, I believe, right?
Yeah, he's number 8 now. He's not.
Yeah,
number.
It's just pretty obvious. That's why. So, so you said 10-7
for the Giants.
For the Giants, what do you think here?
I am very optimistic on the Jets. I have them 13-4.
Well, the Jets. I mean, I look at the team last year, And I kept saying, "Oh, this is so frustrating because literally all they need is a quarterback, and they'd be amazing." Well, there he is.
Yeah, because I mean, this team when they got Aaron Rodgers, I mean, there were reports out from a bunch of different outlets saying, like the Jets felt they could have won 5 more games with their team last year if they had Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and like going from 7 to 13 is basically right in that window here. And I do think that like yes, the first 6 is very tough here, but like I think they can go 4-2 out of it.
Well, it's very tough, but at the same time, you need to look at this both ways. And this comes not just with the Jets; it comes with every team. The Jets play the Bills Monday Night Football Week 1, right?
Yep.
So you look at that game, you say, "Oh, the Bills are tough. They're maybe the most talented team in the league." But you don't think the Bills are looking at it the opposite and saying, "Oh man, the Jets are tough." It's a tough game both ways here. The Jets are a team that on anyone's schedule they look at and they go, "That's a tough game." So yeah, it's extremely tough to play the Eagles and the Chiefs, Super Bowl teams last year. But the Eagles and the Chiefs are probably looking at their schedule saying, "Oh man, the Jets, that's a tough game," because it is. So
Yeah.
like, the point is, it's not just a tough game for the Jets; it's a tough game for everybody because the Jets are a tough team.
Yeah, I mean, you look at them last year, they had one of the best defenses in football. They had like complementary weapons at Garrett Wilson, again, Brees Hall back off the injury here. Now with good quarterback play, I mean, like I said, there's no reason why I don't think they could win 4 of those first 6.
So let me ask you, as a fan, my cousin is a Jets fan as well. I saw him yesterday, and he's very excited for the season. He said the one thing I'm a little concerned about is I was really upset that we traded Elijah Moore. I don't think we have good receivers outside of Wilson, enough weapons. What do you feel about that?
I think they have enough weapons. I think they have like Wilson, Lazard's a good number 2. Nicole Harmon's a good speed element. They have Corey Davis still on the roster, he's not going anywhere. They have Randall Cobb. They have enough guys. Like, is it explosive as you like? No, but they have like a good variety of pass guys, like true number 1.
They do have a good variety of pass catchers. That's very true.
Yeah. And don't go to the full schedule here. So Bills week 1, Monday Night Football, Cowboys week 2, Patriots at home week 3. That might be the one game I go to this year, Nick. I have that one sort of, I'm circling that one on my calendar.
How crazy is it that we're going into the season with just about everybody expecting the New England Patriots to be a fourth place team?
I would love to see that happen.
We'll see. You never know. You never know. We've been down this road before in the NFL where we're like, "Oh, this team's going to be great," and then they stink. But we think the Patriots will be a last place team. It's crazy.
Yeah, so Patriots week 3 at home, Chiefs week 4 at home, Sunday Night Football at the Broncos week 5, Eagles home week 6. They've never beaten the Eagles in their history. Best chance to do so with Rodgers here. The week 7 bye, a little early for them with the 39-year-old quarterback, but I think like they'll take whatever they can get after that first
Well,
6
but
games.
don't forget. People forget this all the time. Week 7 bye in the grand scheme of things sounds early because there's 18 weeks, but they really start in the beginning of August.
Yeah.
So those practices and stuff and the training camps and whatnot, they're still playing. So that think about it not starting on September 11th. Think about it starting August, whatever they start, whatever training camp starts. So think about it like that. So I think the early buys actually could be beneficial.
Yeah, so we mentioned here the Giant games will be fun. The Chargers Monday Night Football, Raiders Sunday Night Football, at the Bills, Dolphins on Black Friday. And I think the back half here, if they are in position here to like be in division contention here, this back 6 is really beneficial to them. They get the Falcons at home, the Texans at home, go to Miami, they host the Commanders, they go to the Browns, they go to the Patriots. Like, I think they could easily go 5-1 down there.
Yeah, there's some underrated teams down there, but like I think the Falcons and I think the Browns are a bit underrated, but at the same time, underrated Falcons. Okay, they're better than we think. They're still not as good as the Jets.
Yeah, especially coming up here in December.
Yeah, right, right. Like in the grand scheme of things, though, are the Falcons I think a little bit underrated, sure, but coming up to New York in December to play Aaron Rodgers, I don't think it's going to go very well for them.
Plus, you get some of these bad teams late in the season here, potentially. Like if the Browns,
Houston,
for instance, Houston, the Browns, if they are out of the mix here, you could see the coach get fired there. They'd be playing on an interim at that point. You don't know.
very true. Yeah, very true. I think the Browns are a little bit underrated as well. Then they got a good defense now, but same time, they might they could easily implode.
Yeah, so I have 13-4 for the Jets. I do think they win the AFC East this year for the first time since 2002.
I don't think that's a crazy guess whatsoever. I think week 1 is a big telling sign for them, and if they can beat the Bills in week 1, I think that it puts them in the driver's seat to win the division right away. And if you lose that game, it's maybe we're not as good as we thought, and then we got to play the Cowboys and the Chiefs and the Eagles, and who knows if the Broncos are good now? Who knows? Like they could be awful, they could be good now. You never know. Like they're completely changed team, but it could be dangerous if they lose that first game. If they win that first game, things are going to look fantastic for them.
Yeah, and I'll also point out here they did split with the Bills last year with Zach Wilson at quarterback in one of the games. The other game, Mike White almost beat the Bills with broken ribs.
Yeah, I mean, you know how I said with the Giants, how their coaching staff makes it so any game is possible? It's the same story with the Jets and their defense. With the Jets' defense being as ferocious as it is, there's no game on this schedule that is there one game on this schedule that you look at and go, we're not winning that one.
I feel like their ones are more difficult than others. I'm not going
Of
to.
course, yeah. Is there a game that you look at and say we can't win that game?
No,
No. So like in theory, not they actually would. In theory, they could win every single game.
they could. They could
They're
also.
not going to. Of course, it happens. You lose games, but they're going to be in position to win every single game.
Yeah, I think here, as I said a minute ago, this first 6 here, 3-3 or better. I think you're right in the mix for a division title.
Yeah, I mean, you have 4 of the top 6 teams in the NFL in your first 6 games.
Yeah,
and then it really slows down for. I mean, the Giants, Chargers, Raiders, those aren't bad teams either. Dolphins aren't bad. Like they actually don't play a bad team until Falcons, maybe.
yeah.
I mean, Denver might be bad. I guess we have to say they're bad.
Yeah, I would say Denver. I don't think the Raiders are very good either.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not. But yeah, I guess they're not.
All right, so that's the Jets. You want to go to some prime time?
Sure.
All right, so where do you want to start? Sunday, Monday, or Thursday?
We'll start Thursday, I guess, because that's when the week starts in the NFL.
All right, so Prime on NFL Prime Video here on Thursday. So this is the Amazon Prime deal. The Black Friday game is not listed here, but it is on the Thursday night package. So we have Vikings, Eagles week 2, Giants, 49ers week 3, Lions, Packers week 4. So they gave a pretty strong start here with those 3 games.
Absolutely. The Lions are the talk of the town, huh?
Yeah, the Lions are a big, big hype spot for the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not completely bought into them, but at the same time, I am bought into them because I think the rest of their division is not good enough. So I think the Lions are actually going to win the division by default. So I'm buying into the hype of the Lions, but I'm not buying into the hype of the Lions, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does make a little sense here. So some other games to note here. I mean, the rest of it's a pretty mixed bag in terms of they got their big games early. They had Bengals Ravens week 11 is fun. They have Seahawks Cowboys the week after Thanksgiving is pretty good. But apart from that, it's pretty much one good team against one not so good team. It looks like most of the way.
Yeah. Always, yeah, you're right. Actually, look, I'm trying to disagree. I actually think, Mike, Week 13 is a great game.
Yeah, it is.
Seattle. I don't know if you mentioned that one did you?
Yeah, I said apart after the first 3, after I said 11 and 13 are the 2 really
okay
with Black Friday thrown in there too. They have 2
Black Friday thrown in there too. Yeah, right. Other than that, though, you're right. I mean, Week 7 could be interesting. I mean, New Orleans is a different game. It's a different team at home. That's Jacksonville in New Orleans, so it could be an exciting game. As long as you do this, which it looks like from looking at this really quick, they're not doing this, which is what I get annoyed about. When you have a good team versus a bad team on a primetime game, everyone's forced to watch it if you want to watch football, right? Because there's no other game on. At least make it, and I know they don't have full control over this because the schedule makes itself essentially, but if you have a good team versus a bad team, if the bad team is home, it at least makes it somewhat exciting and a chance where I can say, oh, they might win. Take Week 15, for example. That's a perfect game in my mind. The Chargers going to the Raiders. Chargers are a better team, but the Raiders are home. It's a division rival. Could be an exciting game.
Yeah. As opposed to Week 6 when the Broncos are going to Kansas City, or
exactly. Flip that around and it might be a little interesting.
Or Week 8 when the Bucks are going to Buffalo.
Exactly. Tampa Buffalo is not a game at all. But if the game's in Tampa, maybe it is.
Yeah. So I think overall not great for Prime. Though you will note here that a couple of teams are on this thing twice because the NFL changed their rules to make sure that they could use teams twice on Thursdays to beef up Amazon. Al Michaels complained last year about this one. So you got the Bears twice on this package. You got the Saints twice on this package. You got the Steelers twice on this package. I think those are the ones that jump at me right away. Those teams are playing 2 Thursday games, plus the Packers and Lions get 2 Thursdays. You got Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so can you explain to me, and I guess the rest of the audience here, what exactly happened with Al Michaels as to why this rule was changed?
Apparently, Al Michaels complained on the air like during one of the broadcasts of how he can't sell used cars and like I can't sell lemons to the audience. They gave him a bunch of duds last year in terms of matchups. So the NFL changes rules, trying to get some of the god awful teams off of Thursday night. So that's why you don't see the Cardinals, or you don't see the Texans, like stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
All right, let's move on to what's next. Sunday, I guess, right?
yeah, go to Sunday Night Football, the marquee package of the season here. So this the main package of the flex scheduling here. So that's going up here on Sunday night. So these are all from the NFL Square account. So Cowboys Giants week 1, Dolphins Patriots week 2, Steelers Raiders week 3, Chiefs Jets week 4. Those are the first 4 out of the gate here. Giants are on again, Jets are on again here. When you look at this thing, like what pops out at you?
So, first, I want to ask you a question, which is I ask you this question every year off the air. When are they allowed to flex a game?
They can go from week 10 to week 17.
And 18 is automatically a flex because
Yeah.
it's based on probably the game that gets almost it's a win and in game.
Yes. So basically,
Okay, so week 10 on essentially, we'll say.
yeah, they do have the option to do, I think, up to twice from weeks 5 to 9 if it's absolutely necessary, but they have not used that yet. So right now,
Okay. Well, the game that jumps out to me the most is, and actually two of them. One, and they're back to back. They're actually late in the schedule, which is interesting. They're 14 and 15.
yeah,
So the Cowboy Eagle game is always a great game to watch. As a Giant fan, it's a terrible game to watch because someone has to win, and it's frustrating watching one of those teams smile. But it is nice seeing one of them automatically lose. And the week right after it too, Baltimore and Jacksonville. I'm very high on the Jaguars this year, and I'm really hoping they can pull the division title off because it'll help my bank account out a lot. And I like that game a lot. I think Baltimore is a really good team. Jacksonville, I think, is on the way up. Game in Jacksonville, I think that's like my perfect matchup right there. Is like, could the young Jaguars take on these Ravens who have been, pretty much awesome the last couple of seasons? I think they're a lot better than people give them credit for. I think Lamar Jackson's record as a starter is like unheard of good.
yeah, that's for sure. I do think I like those games here. Obviously, Bills Bengals week 9, the headline of the Bills going back to Cincinnati with DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah, of course, that's a great thing. Then take a guess. Do you have any idea what Lamar Jackson's record is as a starter?
I assume it's pretty good because I know what they struggled down and he's been hurt the last few years.
Lamar Jackson is 45 and 16 as a starter.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of things I will point out is questionable choices here on the schedule here. I do think they did a good job because they did get the Packers on twice, but in the flex windows that the game stinks, they can get it out.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell does Chicago Bears get on this package?
I don't know. I don't understand the hype behind it. Like, you can record this, and I know you are recording it because it's going to be a podcast, but you can put this on record when I say this. I know the world is obsessed with him for fantasy football purposes, but Justin Fields is a horrible quarterback. Horrible. He can't throw the ball. He's incredible in fantasy football. And if you have a chance to get him in your league, do it. But this guy cannot play. He cannot throw the ball. Justin Jefferson averaged like more yards per game than him last year as a thrower.
Yeah.
He can't throw the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, and think about this. Like, this team had the number 1 pick in the draft last year before they traded.
Yes, that's right. Basically, they're the worst team in the league, right?
Yeah, and they're on Sunday Football.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. And I'll be honest, I know I have some friends who are not going to like to hear this, but my prediction here, that Week 11 game, there's no chance that Week 11 game stays.
Yeah, I have no idea how the Broncos got back either because they got awful last year.
I think the Vikings are going to implode this year. I really do. I think their defense has only gotten worse somehow. When they had the worst defense in the league last year, I think it's only gotten worse. They've been trading players, letting players go. I think they're secretly going for a rebuild here so they can get rid of Kirk Cousins and rebuild the team. And the way to do that is by just implode. I think they're just going to implode this year. I think the Vikings are going to have a terrible season.
Yeah, I do think this is more balanced. I do think it's not as top heavy as like some Sundays have been. I do think that they try to do a better job distributing the good games across all the packages.
Week 12 is a good one too, though. Chargers, Ravens, that's a fun one.
Yeah, you got
that fun football game.
49ers, Cowboys, week 5. That's a playoff rematch. Plus, Giants, Bills is also good playoff value here between these two teams.
Yeah, it's another one I kind of wish it was. Like I said earlier, if the Giants have a chance at it, I think they have a chance at every game with that coach, and it's also nice, day ball going back to Buffalo kind of thing. But I really wish we were home for that one.
Yeah, so That's the Sunday night package here. So we'll go to Monday night to wrap up the primetime slate here. So Monday night football here. There's a lot of games on this one. So I'm going to start going here right away because a couple of things you notice here that we have a couple of double headers here. We have three of them this season on Monday Night Football: Week 2, Week 3, and Week 14, where one game is on ESPN and one game is on ABC. So that's interesting to know here that once it's on, like one starts 7:15, 8:15, Week 2 and 3, and then Week 14 they both start at the same time.
That's really weird. I knew about the week 2 and 3 one because I had heard from people, but I did not know about this week 14 one until now, and that's really strange, especially being at the same time.
Yeah,
But doing a quick look at some of these games, pretty cool. Some of them are pretty exciting. I don't expect much out of Monday night. We're getting a Super Bowl rematch. We're getting a Charger Jets game. We're getting a Bengal Jaguar game. It's pretty good. Week 16 is a fantastic game. We're getting some good games here.
Yeah, Week 16 is the Christmas night game. I'll get to that one in a minute here. You got Bills Jets Week 1's a big headliner here. You got Seahawks Giants matchup with two playoff teams from a year ago. You got the Devontae Adams Packer reunion in there. You got the Bengals in there. Super Bowl rematch you mentioned here. There's a good variety of games.
And even some that you didn't mention that don't look that good on paper, like week 2, it's New Orleans going to Carolina.
Yeah.
Someone has to win that division.
Yeah.
So that actually would be more kind of more fun if it was towards the end of the season, because I feel like those teams are the teams, maybe, and the Falcons as well. Actually, anyone are going to be in the driver's seat to win that division. Like, really, it could be any of those 4 teams. And seeing at the end of the year them play each other, like for the division title kind of thing, it's interesting because these teams might not be very good, but you know the rules. Someone has to win the division.
Yeah. Cowboys Chargers Week 6 also. Fun note there.
Chargers are on this list, not just this list. The Chargers are on each list we've looked at, and all of them have been exciting matchups.
Yeah.
Chargers should be an exciting team this year.
Yeah. I also point out a note here that Monday Night Football for the first time this season has some flex scheduling built in starting in Week 13. So if they have question marks on any of these matchups here, they're not the Christmas Day one, they can slip it out.
Well, I think we know which one, right?
Yeah, you don't trust Mr. Love.
Yeah, I'm also not very excited about the week above that one.
Bengals Jaguars.
No, the Titans and
That's the same week.
oh, okay. So the game can they do both or no?
I think it has to be one. I don't know if they can do both.
No, I mean, like, are each of them eligible?
I think they're each eligible to get flexed out.
Okay, but they wouldn't be able to flex both on the same week.
Yeah, they could take some mighty doing to flex both. I guess
the thing is that, like you mentioned, like with Jordan Love, like even if he's not good, the Packers and the Giants with the fan bases they have, it still could sell.
Yeah, and that's one of the games that's exclusively on ABC. So that's something that they're very take a lot to get that game off of the Monday night entirely.
Right. It's just like even if they aren't good, it's the Giants, it's the Packers, they're 2 of the biggest fan bases in the league.
Yeah, so if you had to pick between the three, who do you think has the best package of the primetime games so far this year?
Well, it's always Sunday, right? But
Monday's
I got to be honest though that I'm really impressed with the Monday schedule, and I'm actually kind of impressed with the Thursday schedule too. There aren't that many duds.
yeah.
Usually, it seems like when the Jaguars were bad before they had Trevor Lawrence, it seemed like it was Jaguars Titans every Thursday.
Yeah, every year.
Every Thursday was Jag Titans in Jacksonville, and the game sucked. And I watched it because I had one guy on Jacksonville as a running back or whatever it was in fantasy, and I was like, I gotta watch the whole game now, but even if it's on in the background, whatever, just to watch this one player. And now that I don't see that many times here.
Yeah, and we'll point out again here, Bears Vikings Week 12 on Monday night. The Bears just ahead of the flex window, so they're going to be on there regardless.
We'll see. Maybe the world is right about Justin Fields and the Bears, and they're on the way up. But honestly, I mean, I think he can't throw the ball at all.
Yeah, that's for sure here. So wrapping up here with some holidays here. So we'll go. You want to go Thanksgiving first?
Sure. Is that the first holiday?
That is the first.
Right? And then I guess Black Friday. We talked about that already.
Yeah. So Thanksgiving games: Packers Lions on Fox, Commanders Cowboys on CBS, and the night game is 49ers Seahawks. So I think like last year, they kind of buried the Commanders in there. So we're seeing a huge number to put somebody good in the game, and then 49ers Seahawks at night I like a lot.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the first game. I almost feel like the Packers Lions should just be the Thanksgiving game.
Yeah.
Every year, it seems like it works when that's the game. Although it could be a very different Packer team this year. It should be. I don't like the second game at all. I think it's a stupid matchup. the bad game. That rivalry's kind of fallen off even too. I just don't see this game being entertaining whatsoever. This is the game that I'm going to say, okay, dinner's served.
Yeah, that's
Not,
the game.
yeah,
That's the game where they're saying, everybody in America's a TV on. He's not going to bother putting a good team in there.
yeah, we're just going to have the TV on and it's going to be in the background. And that night game looks fantastic.
Yeah, and in Seattle too. Well, on Thanksgiving, that's gonna get wild.
Yeah, Seattle. Look, people, they're a playoff team. They won some games last year. They've gotten better too. I think Seattle is a very underrated team. I think I have some underrated teams in this league. I think Seattle's one of them.
Yeah, I'll also point out here in terms of the Black Friday thing, like if you are a Jet fan, like I would strongly consider selling your tickets to that game because parking in that stadium is already a nightmare. Imagine trying to get out of there around 6 o'clock on the best shop day of the year in the American Dream Mall right down the street.
And not to mention, if you're coming up north into the Bergen County area with the Paramus malls and all that stuff on Black Friday, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, so that's a parking disaster. That's what I would happily watch on my TV. Well,
Yeah, the parking, the traffic, that is going to be an absolute nightmare travel day if you're going to that game. If you live in the metropolitan area and you can take public transit, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, do it for sure. Get to the Port Authority, take the bus down if you live in the city.
Yeah. Take a train or something, however you can. I don't know what you can do to get to MetLife, but do it.
Yeah, that's what I recommend here. Do not drive to that game. You can avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the Thanksgiving here. So Christmas Day. Remember last year, Christmas was a bit of a dud because the Broncos on there and they were god awful, and then the Arizona Cardinals were in the mix here too. So I correctly assume that like we're gonna try and throw some big names on Christmas to try and get people in here. So you got both Super Bowl teams on Christmas. You got the Raiders and the Chiefs at 1 o'clock. I see as a Patrick Mahomes. Giants Eagles at 4:30. And Ravens 49ers. 49ers on both Thanksgiving and Christmas on Christmas night on ABC. So what do you think about the Christmas games?
They look really good. The first one is going to be not so great of a game. I think the Chiefs will run away with it, but it's a division game. You never know. Same with the Giants and the Eagles. Those are both of those games I wish was flipped. I wish it was in Oakland or excuse me, Vegas. I wish it was in MetLife, but whatever, it's not. I think division games though, bad blood and the rivalries, and even that's the brothers, right?
Yeah, that was
the brothers. It was the brothers. That was the Super Bowl matchup from Super Bowl 47.
Yeah, it's around there.
That's when the brothers coached against one another in that Super Bowl. That was a good Super Bowl. That was a great Super Bowl. That's when the lights went out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fun game. So I like the Christmas schedule here. I just going to take note of something, and I say this every year. Last year in May, we were positive the Broncos were going to be good, right?
Yeah.
And I remember week 1, actually, we were at the Mets game.
Yeah.
You and I together when they had their first game and they lost, and we were all like shocked. We couldn't believe it. They lost to Seattle.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's going to happen to Kansas City or Philly or whoever, but you never know, is all I'm saying. Teams that are good, if you take note of it in April and write it down, at the end of the year, it's not exactly what you think. There's going to be teams worse than you think. There's going to be teams better than you think. And although it looks like, oh man, the Eagles, they're a great team. Chiefs, they're a great team. You never know. The Giants, they might suck. We'll have to see. We don't know. That's why you play these games. It's not about who's a better team on paper. It's about who wins in the game. And a team could just have a bad year. It happens all the time.
Yeah, and I will say, as a Giant fan yourself here, so like, how challenging is it to actually be able to watch this game on Christmas when you're trying to like spend time with the family and like people want to talk to you and like like oh like got some present having Christmas dinner here, and that's like a very inconvenient time for the Giant fan. If you
it is. It's a tough time. It's to be honest with you, the 4:30 to let's call it 7:45 when it ends, right?
Yeah.
Is most likely going to be me eating dessert and driving home.
Yeah.
So like the chances are, am I going to watch this whole year? I'm probably going to make a point to watch the game, so I'll probably delay all that stuff. But it is getting in the way of what I was planning to do.
Yeah, because like it's tough, and especially like when you have this stuff here. I mean, this year Christmas Eve is on football Sunday, so they have like most of the games are like locked in their times. I think the Jets are playing at 1 o'clock on Christmas Eve, but like it's hard when those are family days. So to say, hey, like I gotta watch football, like the Jets are on, and then like you may be able to squeeze out the one game of your team on Christmas Day. It's even harder.
It is, and for those who are watching on the video version, just so you know, Grogu and Kenobi are trending.
Yeah.
So if you're a Star Wars fan and you like the Sky Guys, there you go. Grogu and Kenobi are trending.
Yeah, I'll also point out a couple of schedules for Week 16 I don't have graphics for is that the NBC is not doing Sunday football on Christmas Eve. They moved their game to Saturday instead. They're doing Bengals Steelers, and then they have an exclusive Peacock game, which is Bills Chargers. So if you don't have Peacock, you missed that game, Nick.
What week?
Week 16, Christmas week, Eve week.
I need Peacock. I have Peacock, so I guess I'm watching it. But I guess some aren't. Some aren't.
Yeah, and the Sunday night slot is going to NFL Network. They're doing Patriots Broncos.
I I think the NFL last year put a lot of faith in the Broncos, and I think rightfully so. I don't think it was like it's easy to say now, oh, they sucked. That was a bad idea. But a year ago, no one thought they sucked.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're kind of doubling down.
No, I think this year that's the Jets. They're really putting their big bet on.
No, I definitely agree. They're not putting the big bet on the Broncos, but I think they're showing up a little more than I would have thought in primetime for a team that won, what, 5 games?
Yeah.
But I think, they were banged up beyond belief last year. They got a new coach. They got Sean Payton. I think there's belief that the Broncos are going to be better this year.
Yeah, so that's what that's the NFL schedule general breakdown here. So Nick, always a lot of fun to come on here and let people know here. Like, people want to follow us on the Sky Guys. We're entering video game month on the podcast.
We are. It's very exciting. We have a couple of podcasts planned around video games and Star Wars and just other movie adaptations and video games and whatnot, stuff like that. Very exciting stuff coming up. And you can follow us for more updates with at Sky Guys Podcast on both Instagram and on Twitter.
Yeah, I did play some more Jedi Survivor last night, Nick. I did get off a Kobo for the first time. I am on Jeddah when I went to sleep.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you, Mike. Zelda came out on Friday, and I haven't even considered touching another thing since then.
Yeah.
So my Fallen Order, or should I say Jedi Survivor, is definitely on the back burner.
Yeah, so I have just started I started chapter 3 of that game. So that's where I'm at right now.
That's about where I was too. I was a little bit ahead. I was about halfway done with that planet when I put it down. So you're gonna catch up to me relatively soon.
Yeah, so we're going to talk all about the video games this month on the Sky. You guys want to check us out there. But once again, Nick, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks, Mike.